The Morgan Report with David Morgan. Discover how to build and protect your wealth at themorganreport.com.
David Morgan, themorganreport.com, for the week ending 28 April 2023. Well, just returning from the Money Show in Las Vegas, and you can see this, one of the things I did down there was a report on is silver and asymmetric trade. Actually, it's very well attended. I was kind of surprised. Usually the precious metals resource people don't get quite the amount of attendance that you get in some of the other sectors like technology or biotech or that type of thing. But it was well attended, and I will be making this available to the premium service. I'll just go through all the slides and basically repeat what I did at the Las Vegas show. And the bottom line is silver really looks good going forward, and the reason being is the economic conditions, inflation, and the fact that there's so many industrial uses that solar is now taking about 10-12% of the entire silver market, and it's projected to do quite a bit more than that over the next few years. So all things remaining equal, silver should probably outperform many asset classes. I was also on a panel, in fact, it's called a keynote panel on Wednesday morning, the last day of the show. And the title of the panel was Inflation Survival Strategies for 2023 and Beyond. And Mike Larson, who is the master of ceremonies and really sharp guy, he's also the editor-in-chief for the Money Show, was a moderator. Marty Fridson, Mike Mahaney, and myself were on the panel. And it's bringing up Martin's background here. You can look it up on Wikipedia. But good company. I mean, he's definitely fairly establishment, but he said a lot of things similar to myself. I was kind of the most outspoken, but he certainly had a lot to say and agreed with him quite a bit. He actually talked to and has been, here it is, consultant to the Federal Reserve Board of Governors since the Clinton administration. So he knows what he's doing, and it was really kind of fun to have him on the panel. And the other panel member was Mark Mahaney, and you can see his LinkedIn profile here, #1 ranked internet analyst by Institutional Investors Magazine, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, and 2012. Listed to one of his presentations prior to the panel. Sharp guy, known of him from past money shows. I actually like him, but he's very much a tech guy, and he had a lot of good ideas and was very sincere from what I heard. At least my take on it. Point being that during the panel, I think I pushed back a little bit on, on the idea that things are just rosy going forward. And I don't want to speak for him or anyone else, but it was quite a good time for me, and I think the audience as well. And I think the bottom line is that there's a lot of uncertainty going forward and a lot of money sitting on the sidelines. And that money's kind of fearful of what will happen next. And because of that fact, they'll probably be seeking investments more along the gold sector than maybe other areas at this point in history. So that's the bottom line. Again, the asymmetric or silver and asymmetric trade, I'll put it up for the premium members probably within the next few days. On top of that, I did publish the Morgan Report, just went out about an hour ago. And we do have a new gold company that's highly leveraged. It's not a super high grade situation. Those type of situations are highly leveraged. And because we're in the situation we're in, I do expect higher gold prices. And because of that, the sensitivity index is quite positive, meaning any upward price movement in gold hits the bottom line rather significantly.
There is nothing more critical to your financial future than a sound money system. This is the premise of the Morgan Report. To understand where you are going, you need to know where we've been and why our current monetary system is crumbling like a house of cards. More importantly, you need to know how to build and preserve your wealth even in these uncertain market conditions. You need a strategy that will protect whatever amount of savings you have now. We are going to witness the greatest transfer of wealth that has ever occurred in recorded history. Will you be in when it happens, or sitting on the sidelines wondering what just happened? Join our free email list at themorganreport.com. Become informed, awake, and aware.
All right, let's get into some of the gold and silver market news. Market Insider. Central banks are leading a revolt against the U.S. dollar and shifting to gold at a record pace, market expert says. Central banks are turning away from the U.S. dollar and shifting to gold. Rucker Sharma wrote. I don't know if he's an expert or not. Central banks account for a record 33% of monthly global demand for gold, he said in the Financial Times. Thus, the oldest and most traditional of assets, gold, is now a vehicle of central bank revolt against the dollar. And that's basically all I said. It's a rather modest size article. You can certainly read the whole thing if you're interested. Next up from the print, gold pulls back after a brief run to 2,000 on U.S. banking woes. We know about Republic. Gold eased back Wednesday, with a focus returning on upcoming economic data after breakaway briefing above 2,000 spurred by fresh worries surrounding U.S. banking turmoil. First Republic shares hit a record low after reports said the U.S. government was unwilling to intervene in the rescue process for the troubled lender. This is something I emphasized over and over, not only in the panel, but in all discussions, also in the asymmetric trade. And that is the uncertainty surrounding the banking system and the inability to understand the inconsistency of the central bank, or the Federal Reserve, private bank. And we don't know what they're going to do. And I don't know if they know what they're going to do. And I'm not trying to be cute. I'm being serious. The point is that Janet Yellen, Secretary of the Treasury, has indicated that big banks won't fail, but small banks could. In other words, they might not be consistent according to how they dole out the bail-in, bail-out situation. And because of that uncertainty, money will go where it's treated best. And that's why a lot of the bank reserves has gone into money market funds where it gets a higher yield. It's basically out of the banking system. It's out of the banking reserves and into money markets. So the amount of reserves that the banks have is less and less, which means any demand of depositors for ready cash puts a much more stress on the system at large. And this is actually what's taking place. I do expect more problems in the banking sector. From mining.com, silver market fundamentals strong as it enters a new era of supply deficits. Silver, like gold, has returned to the spotlight this year, with the precious metals recently trading its highest in a year at just under $26 per ounce. In the past month, silver price has gone up nearly 20%, eclipsing the S&P 500's approximate 5% gain over the same period. The boost to silver comes as the value of the U.S. dollar, an alternative safe haven asset, has struggled, falling about 2% over the past month and more than 9% since the 20-year peak last September. And the article goes on to talk about the severe shortage of silver due to the relentless growth in demand for the metal, which is both industrial and also investment demand. This is from the Silver Institute. I think most of you are familiar with this. Last year, we had about 200 million ounce deficit. Forecast for demand is continuing to increase, especially in the solar industry, photovoltaics. And you can see from this pie chart how much is investment demand and how much is jewelry and industrial applications. Photography hardly counts anymore, and silverware is only 7% of the market. And mining is probably going to be flat again this year, although some of my peers think not. It could increase, possibly. Won't be much. There isn't a lot of new mining activity, although some is coming on board. So positive outlook for the metal. And most that follow the silver market closely know that India imported a huge amount of silver. This is an Indian publication. India demand drives up silver jewelry fabrication to 29% to a record high in 2022. You can read the article. It's from this GJEPC India. And that's the bottom line. It's a fairly long article, which if you're interested, you can read about silver demand in India. This is from the Northern Miner. Silver bullion builds one of the world's highest capacity precious metals vaults in Singapore. This is quite a facility. I've not been there. I've only been to Singapore once, and I was there prior to this being built. But you get an idea from this picture. And this is the Chief Executive Officer, Gregor Gergerson, from the Silver Bullion. And I've done many interviews with Silver Bullion TV over the years. They are pretty first-class outfit. I think anyone interested in storing their metal might have a look here. Obviously, they put a lot of time, effort, and energy into building this facility. This article on silver from barchart.com, how high can silver rise? That's a question we all want to know. I like this article. Silver is money. The U.S. dollar is losing ground. Silver's industrial applications are increasing the demand. Levels to watch in the silver market. Of course, if you look at this continuous chart, you look at basically a double top at 50. You talk about how much silver has performed in 1980 and 2011. I'm looking for higher prices in at least to 50, if not beyond. I wrote 100 back in 2003, and I think we will see triple-digit silver. And then it talks about the junior miners and how cheap they are, which they are. So it's a good time to look at the silver sector, as of course anyone watching Morgan Report updates would know. And thank you, Zero Hedge. I haven't put you on one of these in a while. I do look at Zero Hedge almost daily, but platinum made it to Zero Hedge. Investors panic into platinum ETFs as South African power crisis threatens global supply. Of course, if you were watching this from me, you would already have known that. But here it is coming out on Tuesday, the 25th of April. We're seeing power blackouts in South Africa are putting global platinum production at risk. As a result, investors are plowing money into platinum exchange-traded funds in response to increasing concerns about tightening supply this year. Outages last year in Africa's most developed economy curbed the output of platinum, and the power crisis is worsening. So you read the whole article. Well done, as always. Anything from Zero Hedge is probably well done, and just reconfirms what I've been telling you for several months now. And I'll end this week with a Forbes article, 3 critical metal supply chain challenges and how business can address them. Again, Forbes magazine talks about nickel, cobalt, copper, and magnesium. And this is an article featuring CEO and co-founder of Impossible Metals. And if you read the article, you'll find out it's not really that big a thing. We're going to go down the bottom of the ocean and mine this stuff out. Well, if you've read my Morgan Report a few months ago, talking about what it really takes to get the amount of metal needed, not only for the battery metals, but everything else that's required for a green economy, it's impossible. But I'll leave that for another time. Interesting article, mining at the bottom of the ocean. I will be back with you next week with another weekly perspective. This is David Morgan of themorganreport.com. Remember to sign up for the free report at themorganreport.com. And if you're so inclined to go beyond that, look at the premium service. We do a monthly report that's electronic in form. Most people print it out. And I do videos on an as-required basis. And I also guarantee to answer everyone's question. So that's it. I'll be back with you next week.
What if I told you that you could go broke in less than 24 hours? That's how long it took for the Dow Jones Industrial Average to plunge by nearly 22%, losing investors billions overnight. The same happened to the FTX crypto exchange and Terra Luna stablecoin. Both crashed overnight, losing crypto investors billions. You need a strategy that will protect whatever amount of savings you have now. We are going to witness the greatest transfer of wealth that has ever occurred in recorded history, and you must understand the following. You can absolutely go broke in one day. We've been helping subscribers weather this economic mess for years. Now it's time for you to get the same insights. What really happens during a major collapse is that the wealth changes hands. You will actually benefit by looking ahead and knowing exactly how to build and preserve your wealth. Putting just 10% or 20% of your wealth into our approach could make all the difference in your financial security and peace of mind over the next few years. Discover the Morgan Report today. Visit our site at themorganreport.com.